Hey, what's going on everybody? Today I want to talk to you about a problem I often see these days, and in particular in the fitness space, and that is that people only want to focus on goals and outcomes. To explain what I mean here, it's probably best to use an example. So a typical one that I see a lot goes something like this. I want to lose X amount of weight in Y amount of time with a clean diet and a gym program in place so I can start feeling confident and better about myself again. Now, hearing that goal, you may think to yourself, that's not too bad. However, although the intention might seem good, the problem with this line of thinking is twofold, and this is what I'm going to explore in this video. First up, let's first talk about what I believe to be the first flaw with the example goal I just shared with you, and that is that most goals people create for themselves usually focus on the what, the when, the how, the why, and even the where, but rarely do they focus on the who, i.e. the person trying to achieve the goal. The example goal I gave you earlier about losing weight looks and sounds great, but very little focus is given to the common denominator, or who is doing the plan, i.e. are you the type of person who can actually execute this? And I'm not just talking about your ability, I'm talking about a far deeper psychological level, which we'll get back to soon. The second major flaw I see in the goals that people create for themselves is that they only focus on outcomes. And it's not that good outcomes are bad, it's that the outcome is usually the only focus, and often these outcomes are out of your control. Most of us seriously underestimate the amount of effort and time that actually goes into achieving a goal and set far too small a time horizon to actually accomplish what we set out to. And this is especially true when it's new ground we're trying to cover or a goal that we've never achieved before, which is almost all goals that people set for themselves because most people want something new and exciting. And these two flaws of not focusing on the person involved and only focusing on the outcome have two major underlying problems. And these are unreasonable expectations and misallocation of attention. Now let me explain what I mean here, starting with expectations. When you focus so much on the outcome, let's say doing a weight loss challenge and losing 10 kilograms in 90 days, which is a common goal in the fitness space, there's only one metric of progress, and the exact time frame you lose this weight is often out of your control. For instance, if you're 50 years old and you haven't exercised intensely much at all in your lifetime and have very little nutritional knowledge, and you then compare yourself to the usual winner of these types of challenges, which is someone in their 20s or 30s, who has a decent sporting background and who knows how to eat to get back in shape, you're immediately setting yourself up for a measure of success or failure that hinges a lot on factors that are outside of your control. Hence, even if you make progress and start eating better, exercising more, and getting more sleep in the 90 days, you ultimately end up still feeling like a failure because there are expectations tied to predetermined outcomes, which are often never questioned to be reasonable or not for each particular person involved in the same challenge. Apart from these narrow-minded expectations, you also have a misallocation of attention, which focuses more on the outcome instead of the process of getting there, which is ultimately more important and will keep you in shape longer term. The problem with misallocation of attention is that you're focusing on the outcome to the detriment of the actions that get you there, which are ultimately more important and something that you can more fully control. And this is ultimately what's wrong with common goal setting and why people fail. The focus is on what you must get instead of where you're currently at, and it focuses on the achievement of one particular outcome to the neglect of the type of person that you should be looking to become in the process. So you're probably now thinking, well, if focusing on outcomes is a problem and there is a lack of recognition for the type of person you're looking to become, then what should you do instead? Well, firstly, it starts with focusing on actions and behaviors instead of goals. And in our weight loss example from earlier, it means a shift from solely focusing on the scale and instead committing to actions that are relevant to the stage the person's currently at. For some, this might mean focusing on ensuring all workouts are attended to each week. For others, it might mean doing all the reps and sets of every workout at a given intensity. Whatever it is for the particular person, the agenda is not to focus on the outcome of getting leaner, it's to commit to the actions of what a lean person would do that have not already been learned. And in this way, you're always achieving what you set out to, as opposed to the outcome-driven goals where the end game is often out of your control, especially when it relates to precise measures and time horizons. Because most people set new goals that are by definition new, the path to success is usually unfamiliar, and there are various struggles and unforeseen circumstances that are encountered along the way. Hence, there is often a serious time delay associated with most goals that are worthwhile, and very few people take this into consideration. The Beatles, probably the greatest rock band of all time, practiced as much as they could, they played as much as they could, they endured 8-hour sets, horrible road tours, seedy nightclubs, until eventually reaching fame as a band after 10 years. But everyone wanted to think that they were an overnight success. And this next example, in a way, probably won't help those of you who are trying to lose weight, but Colonel Sanders of KFC took 22 years to perfect his KFC recipe chicken before opening his first franchise store. 22 years. Now, I'm not saying you need to take 22 years to lose 10 kgs of fat and get in shape. What I am saying is though that you need to be able to do what you need to do without seeing the result of what you're doing and be comfortable in the process. By default, you're going to need consistency, enough practice to build the skills and make up for the deficits. And this harder, longer, consistent effort is not in vain either. It also ensures that when you do succeed, that you have the habits in place and you can keep doing the things that got you to where you are and not fall off track. The problem is, in this day and age of instant gratification, is that most people expect the medal, but don't want to go through the pain and the struggle and put in the hard work that comes with achieving it. Having a desired outcome that you focus on is simply not enough. James Clear sums this up perfectly in his book Atomic Habits. He says, "Winners and losers have the same goals. Every Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every candidate wants a job. And if successful and unsuccessful people share the same goals, then the goal cannot be what differentiates the winners from the losers. The goal of the winner is to commit to the actions no matter what. The goal of the loser is to commit only to the outcome, which more often than not we cannot control, and this is often why we defeat ourselves with this line of thinking. Everyone thinks that they have a unique goal of wanting to be fit and lean, or getting rich and famous, or whatever it is, but a lot of people have those goals. So it's not the goals that make the successes unique, it's the actions that they take that make the successes unique. Sure, you might want to lose 10 kgs in 90 days, okay great, but first tell me how you're going to commit to your workouts and your meal prep each week. And it's not just fat loss either. Many people think they'll look like an Adonis or have Hulk-like strength after a few months of training, when really for the first year or so of strength training, you're simply learning how to move your body and establish some fundamental basics with your technique. Not to mention learning how to cook and eat right, learning how to prepare your food and eat when you're away from home. You need to clearly establish where you're at before determining where you should be, and commit to the actions that will get you to where you want to be one day in the future. I mean, do you really think that if you commit to just a few hours per week of training and meal prep, that even after just a year and hundreds of hours under your belt, that you won't be much further along than where you started? It's these continuous small improvements that will add up to big improvements over a long enough time horizon. You just need to commit to the actions that will steer you in the right direction. Eddie Cohen, the greatest powerlifter of all time, simply focused on consistently adding the smallest increment of weight he could to his training each week, and over time he became the greatest powerlifter ever. Yet many of us think that somehow we're different and we have to exceed in some faster or better way. If you can think in terms of years instead of days, you'll be so much further ahead than the person who thinks in terms of days and stops when there's a small hiccup in their progress or routine. Also, with the person who commits to years versus the person who commits to days, who do you think will have more commitment week to week and will have more to show after the time lapses? Food for thought. Now, many of you at this stage may be thinking, yeah, well, it's one thing to say that you just need to practice the actions and behaviors consistently, but how do you even keep that up and not lose focus? It's focusing on being the kind of person you're aspiring to be and the identity you're looking to create for yourself. That's how you keep up your focus and keep on track with your goals. The problem with not focusing on the identity and instead focusing on the outcome all the time is that many of us wrongly anchor our sense of fulfillment to the outcome instead of who we become as a person in the process. We think to ourselves that once I reach ABC goal, then I'll be happy and fulfilled, or I'll be able to sleep at night once I get to ABC destination. The trap with this thought process is that you're anchoring your happiness and your future actions to whether or not a milestone will be achieved. It's like saying, once I lose 10 kgs, then I'll start looking to date someone again. Or once I start earning X amount of money, then I'll be happy and have my needs met. This way of thinking only creates a misguided and myopic view of happiness, where it can only be attained in the presence of an outcome being achieved, which doesn't happen very often. When you fall in love with the process rather than the outcome, you don't have to wait to give yourself permission to be happy. And you won't find yourself falling off track once you accomplish something either, because the person who you're trying to be is the main focus, not the person that you think the outcome will produce. In this way too, your self-esteem doesn't take the hits that normally derail you when you have a mishap, because you're committing to what you can control and your happiness is grounded in your efforts and not in your outcomes. The purpose of creating a goal is to achieve it. The purpose of creating your identity is to be able to keep playing the game. To paraphrase James Clear again, success is not about one accomplishment. It's about the cycle of endless refinement and improvement. Ultimately, it is your commitment to the process that will determine your progress. Many people fail to achieve their fitness goals because they want the outcome, like a leaner body, increased performance, better health, etc., but they never really identify themselves as a lean, fit, or healthy person. To use another analogy, which person do you think will be better at staying sober? The person who says they're trying to get off the booze this month, or the person who says that they're not a drinker? In the same way, the person who identifies as a lean and healthy person will have far greater success with their body composition and health than the person who simply wants to lose X amount of weight in Y time frame. If you determine your identity, the outcomes will take care of themselves. So stop worrying about getting in shape and instead start focusing on becoming the type of person who doesn't skip meal prep or workouts. The formula is be, do, have, not have, do, be. If you identify as the type of person you want to be, you'll do the things that that kind of person does and will have what that kind of person has. But it all comes from focusing on being first. If you instead focus on the outcome that you don't have, you'll never do the things you need to do or be the person you need to be because you don't have the outcome that you think you should already have. This video turned out kind of long, but I appreciate you sticking around and I hope it resonated with you. These concepts are some that I've struggled with personally for years, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below too. Please share this with anybody who you feel would benefit from it, and I look forward to seeing you next time.